Everyone wants to take their business, their skills, to the next level. Small and mid-sized business owners have exceptional insight into how to do this. They endure and thrive because they find ways to overcome the challenges that come their way, and they can teach us valuable lessons to apply to our own companies and lives. Stephen Nooner, founder and owner of Alkali, a company with a unique process that helps businesses more effectively buy and manage their insurance programs. And Bob Gibbons, builder of Riata Commercial Realty, a real estate advisor and tenant advocate, are two prominent Metroplex businessmen who, along with their weekly guests, will ask their and your probing questions, finding impactful solutions that will help you reach for the next level. Here are your hosts, Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons.
Welcome to The Next Level, conversations that propel business. This is your host, Bob Gibbons.
And I'm Stephen Nooner.
We're excited you're here with us today. As you know, every week we get together with a business owner and talk about business. And we try to have fun and meaningful conversations where everybody will learn. Certainly, Stephen and I need to learn. And we can
Speak for yourself.
I was, until I was rudely interrupted. We can share our experiences and hopefully positively impact everybody, the listeners, us, and learn something. So we have another great guest today, and before we do that, though, we always like to get some wisdom from others, and we always do that with a quote. And Stephen, our guest, actually provided a quote today, but I'm not going to use his quote, the one that he provided from whomever.
Okay.
Because instead, I have got a better quote, and here's the quote we're going to use today. It says, "You don't have to see to the end to walk toward it."
All right.
And
Well,
you know who said that?
I believe that's our guest.
It is actually Sean Teague.
That's correct.
He probably didn't realize he said that, but it is in some of the material he gave me earlier. So I thought that was really a profound idea.
I think it's very, very true. So often we have to, I think there's a mindset that you need all the green lights and you need to know the whole entire plan before you take action. And I think that what's special about entrepreneurs is a lot of times they're willing to take that risk. They're willing to step out in faith when they don't know all the answers.
That's why the C students work for the A and B students, because the C students don't have a clue where they're going, and A and B thinks they do.
Isn't it the opposite?
No.
Isn't the A and B? You must have been an A and B student. That's why you're flipping it? Because I was a C student.
I was an A student, and that's why I always worked for myself. It took me 20 years to work for myself.
All right. Well, I'm excited to introduce our next leveler today. When you're on the show, if we can say it, that's what you become, as a next leveler. This is a new friend of mine, Sean Teague. Actually met him doing some volunteer work, so just a great guy. He is the CEO and president of ManageWatch. ManageWatch provides freedom from IT ownership through its consulting and cloud area network services. ManageWatch has been in business in Dallas since 2003 and currently employs 12 people locally. If you'd like to learn more about Sean or ManageWatch, please visit ManageWatch.com. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks for being here. Well, we're going to make you look really good and let you talk about all kinds of stuff that's going to make us look not so good, not so smart anyway. But before we get to that, one of the things that we asked you was something about yourself that's most people probably don't know. And you mentioned that you're dyslexic.
I am.
Which apparently I am too, because I can't say it.
And me too.
So tell us about that. What has that meant for you? And what do you, I understand you have a special project about that you're working on.
Well, I do some speaking arrangements with children that are struggling with dyslexia and understanding basically how to learn as a dyslexic. I find being dyslexic is actually a value in business, because you often see patterns and connectivity or connections that other people typically don't see. And so you can kind of go with your gut, while other people might not recognize there's an opportunity to do that. So dyslexia for me has actually been an advantage. It was not when I was a child, but it certainly is in business for me today.
And there's a book in the works, I understand.
Well, I've been working on a book for a long time for my youngest son called Brave Braden and the Bunnies, and it's a dyslexic reader's book for young dyslexic readers. So the themes are kind of fun and exciting, but yet the verbiage and how it's written and reads is a little bit easier for dyslexic readers, because they do want to read, they just struggle reading.
That's exciting. Stephen and I are both writing books separately, but that's an exciting project. So
Thank you.
Congrats.
So, Sean, I'm going to go ahead. I believe there's a quote out there, and I think it's having to do with AA, but it says all meaningful progress begins by telling the truth. So I'm going to start this conversation with complete truth. I really like technology. I know it's a super important part of our future. I almost consider myself a futurist in that I really enjoy technology. But when we get to things like cloud, software as a service, managed services, it kind of creates a big mess in my head, and I don't understand it all. So I thought before we started, just to gain some clarity and where you guys fit in that world, if you could help kind of break down some of those terms and in context of what you guys do and provide.
Okay, well, I'd like to do that. I think most people have an intimidation with technology. I think the younger folks are much easier with technology than people maybe my age are. Technology typically for most companies, and I am speaking basically from business owners, small to medium-sized business owners, because that's really who our market is, or small to medium-sized businesses, is they find IT and systems to be complex, confusing, and over-expensive. They would typically like to divorce themselves from the responsibility of IT, but they recognize they need the value that IT promises to them. So what we provide as a service to small to medium-sized businesses from a technology perspective is basically maintaining the uptime of the systems that they bought for themselves. They basically outsource the responsibility of the promise of network uptime to us, because managing their own networks themselves, they're cumbersome and expensive, and they typically don't have the technical wherewithal to know how to hire, train, have tactics and strategy around the IT that they know they need to have to either make money or save money in today's competitive business market.
So what does that mean to me? I mean, so we have, like, I'm not quite probably your ideal target market, but we're close, right? And so you say freedom from, what am I getting freedom from? I mean, we pay for a server, we get whammed every few years, need an upgrade, we've got an IT guy. Where do you guys fit in, and what do you provide? Because it just seems like you get a whole bunch of disparate parts, and does that make sense? I mean, can you help me out?
It does. Today, our service is we're a private cloud provider, so we provide a service called the Cloud Area Network. Maybe you've heard of local area networks or metropolitan area networks or wide area networks, or we're bringing to market what we consider to be the Cloud Area Network, this new paradigm in computing. In my experience, most business owners are very dissatisfied with the responsibility and performance of their IT systems. They recognize they can't actually deliver to themselves their full IT value, the promise that they bought the IT systems for.
Right.
So they have this gap, this lower expectation. I was looking for this type of performance from my systems, and I'm actually getting much less than that. And they live with that lower expectation because they don't understand how to basically deliver it to themselves. And what we found over many, many years is that small to medium-sized businesses cannot deliver that full IT value to themselves, and nor can their service providers.
And why is that? Like, what's broken there? What's missing?
Well, it's complex, and it's confusing, and it's changing all the time. So the minute you understand it, it's changed for you again, and your competitors are now running this new technology, and you feel you need to keep up.
Right.
And so since technology is very complex, it's very difficult to hire, train, and basically have a technical wherewithal to continue to stay on top of IT as a small to medium-sized business. So what you do is you outsource that responsibility to a partner. The problem with that is the small to medium-sized businesses don't have the technological skill or background to select the proper partner. So they're often outsourcing a responsibility that their partner can't actually deliver to them. So they just perpetuate the problem.
It sounds like they actually need consulting to figure out what are the deliverables and how to achieve it, but they don't even know how to hire the consultant, much less what the deliverables are, et cetera.
Absolutely correct. They don't know how to ask, they don't know how to select, they don't know how to qualify. And what we've been able to do is basically change that entire paradigm through an innovative disruptor called virtualization. And virtualization is recognized through cloud services. So in private cloud, you get your full IT value. You get an enterprise grade infrastructure that's purpose-built for small to medium-sized businesses, that's managed and directed by us, versus the SMP managing their own business with their MSP partner.
SMB being small to medium-sized businesses.
Okay. And an MSP is a managed service provider providing IT services to the small to medium-sized business.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to try to restate it and hope that I can get, and you can correct me. So basically in this cloud, you guys are, what a client can do is basically plug into the expertise, the platform, the technology that they need, and you guys control the entire environment. Is that?
Yeah, what we really try to say is we basically scoop out their local area network and lay it
Which would be like a server or
yeah, exactly. File services, application servers, web servers, file servers, all the access control and security elements within a local area that make a local area network work. We basically scoop all that out and put it within our private cloud platform, which is all enterprise grade. And then we manage that entire infrastructure for them and provide administration management and help desk services as well.
So they don't need a server in their office anymore?
Correct.
So do you own all that? They basically pay a fee for that on some basis,
subscription
monthly
basis. Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
So do you also own like the computer on my desk and everything?
It really depends on the relationship with the customer. Yes, if they like to, they can actually run what they call a zero client or a thin client, or they can actually run a PC and continue to access the private cloud. There's a number of different ways to do that.
And that depends on their needs. So that's where the consulting comes
correct.
in. And right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
So there's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Okay, so I guess we're eliminating the servers. So the capital cost for these clients goes away to a large extent, and they're replacing the capital cost of buying all this stuff with a subscription. So is it cheaper for them in the long run to do this?
Well, it is. It's tremendously cheaper. They're avoiding risk, responsibility, projects, a number of things that these upgrades, these perpetual upgrades that occur. When you outsource to a private cloud provider, that private cloud provider is doing all those upgrades all the time, not just for you, but for all other customers on that private cloud. So the SMB gets the economies of scale and leverage that all the other customers provide in a private cloud platform. So they avoid all upgrades going forward in the local area network.
So a lot of people are doing this on a limited basis, like, Microsoft Office 365,
correct.
Salesforce for their CRM, customer relationship management. So it seems like a lot of people are doing this to some extent with pieces here and there, but you're coordinating all of that stuff at one time.
Correct, exactly.
Okay.
We're actually moving everything into the cloud where everyone's already leaning to anyways. SaaS, software as a service, for instance, with Salesforce.com that you mentioned, or Office 365. Most small to medium-sized businesses are already operating in the cloud to some degree. They just haven't recognized it for themselves.
Do you replace my Dropbox?
Yes, we can. Or we can actually integrate your Dropbox into the private cloud.
Okay, cool.
You've successfully been in business for 12 years. How, why, and what does it take to disrupt yourself for the possibility of an even bigger future, both for your clients and your business? Stick around after the break to find out.
And now, Confessions of a Recovering Landlord.
This is Bob Gibbons with Riata Commercial Realty, and I am your recovering landlord. After 20 years as a landlord, I now use that experience only for the benefit of companies that lease or buy office buildings and warehouses. Today's confession: don't renew, renegotiate. So you're probably wondering what the difference is between those two. Well, renewing a commercial lease usually means that the rental rate changes, but not much else. That could leave a lot of money on the table. Don't get lulled into the misguided idea that a great relationship with your landlord or leasing agent will result in a good deal for you. And never, ever tell the landlord that you really want to stay in the building. Instead, you need to renegotiate. That takes a comprehensive look at your needs and puts everything on the table for renegotiation. Options, improvements, free rent, and other lease clauses. Bottom line, the landlord should have to compete for your business instead of just assuming you're going to stay. To learn more, contact me at texastenantrep.com. Again, that's texastenantrep.com.
Want to create a breakthrough in your business or personal life? Here's a tip. Stop shopping for insurance and insurance agents. Begin looking for a way to more effectively buy and manage your insurance. At Alkali, that is exactly what we provide. The freedom you create by changing this mindset alone will make an impact. Plus, you can stop listening to all the insurance commercials on TV and radio, unless they're funny, of course. Are you an insurance novice or just want to take things to the next level? Knowledge is power. Come join us for the single most important class that you never took in business school. To sign up or learn more, visit us at alkaliservices.com. That's Alkali, A-L-K-A-L-I, services with an S.com.
Hey there, I'm Dave Gorman. I'm a Dallas entrepreneur, and I just finished taping my show with Bob and Steve, and as it turns out, sleeping in wouldn't have been a bad idea after all.
Welcome back, everybody, to The Next Level. We're here with our special guest, Sean Teague, CEO and President of ManageWatch. If you want to learn more about Sean or ManageWatch, you may visit ManageWatch.com. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about different pieces and a lot of terms and, servers and clouds and all this kind of stuff. So what I kind of want to understand is, it seems to me like there's a whole lot of things that we're talking about that I've heard are common among a lot of businesses. I use certain things, Stephen's company uses certain things, a lot of the listeners are using a lot of things we're talking about. So when you guys bring all those pieces together for a solution for a client, how do you do that, and what does that look like?
That's a good question. Basically, local area networks are made up of kind of siloed areas of technology. So you have like application servers, file servers, backup, security, the things that basically make a system work. Those components are basically mirrored in a private cloud, but they're enterprise grade and purpose built. They're much larger, faster, redundant, more so than small to medium-sized businesses could actually purchase those types of items for themselves. So they go from a medium-sized business to run an enterprise class infrastructure in the cloud, secure, safe, redundant, secure. It's a major change for most small to medium-sized businesses. The benefit of that is that it's actually cheaper than running your own local area network. There's really no downside other than the prejudice of moving to a new technology.
What about speed? Have they overcome it? I mean, because I saw on your website that you guys integrate like the phone systems and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, is it a product anymore of my connection speed to the cloud that you guys have set up for our firm? I mean, how does that work, or have we overcome all those challenges now?
That's an interesting point. Basically, processing in the cloud is going to be much faster because the internet pipes available from cloud to cloud provider are running much, much larger than small to medium-sized businesses are running to basically the internet or the cloud. Mm-hmm. So if you take all the processing in your local area network and then you put that processing in the cloud, it's going to run much, much more efficiently and generally faster. And what you're going to do basically is connect from your local area network or your office in a smaller local area network footprint to processing that's occurring in the cloud. So basically outsourcing all the processing to your private cloud provider.
So how does somebody know that they need you? I mean, at what point does somebody realize, hey, I'm over my head and I'm of the right size that I better
what are the signs?
Yeah. Well, most of it's generally just dissatisfaction with computing overall. There's another upgrade or there's another outage or I've had to turn over an IT staff again. And I'm just generally dissatisfied with the money and the performance of our IT systems. And I'm looking to make a change. Private cloud can deliver on that promise of full IT value for small to medium-sized businesses. A really good marker is if you're about to make a capital expense, if it's ready for a new upgrade in our local area network. That's a good time to stop and say, do I want to invest in the same old, basically poor performing local area network for myself, or am I interested in exploring the promise of private cloud? That's a really good marker. Also, if you've got a lot of growth, a lot of change in your business, that's a really good opportunity to say, hey, where do I want to basically look into the future, whether locally to myself or to a private cloud provider that has a much larger invested infrastructure than I can provide to myself.
What about making this stuff work as it's evolving? I mean, so I think a lot of times people may be listening to this and say, okay, technology is evolving so fast. I mean, it was, Dropbox was the craze yesterday. I mean, so right. How does this different in the sense that it'll keep up?
Well, to the small to medium-sized business, the value is that your private cloud provider is looking at that technology and investing in that technology from a many to one perspective. In other words, the provider has many customers he has to deliver this promise towards. In a small to medium-sized business who's a standalone local area network, he only has limited time and bandwidth and resources to explore what technologies need to come forward for him. So the cloud provider is invested in the future on behalf of the clients, while the medium small business is actually just investing in his own infrastructure and typically doesn't have the resources to explore all possibilities and really see past maybe that quarter or that year. He's looking at next capital expense maybe only, a shorter view.
Let's shift a little bit, and I guess I'd like to step back and let's go back to the beginning of your company. How did you start the company, and what was the need that drove you to do so?
Well, that's an interesting story. I had some ownership interest in a business in the 90s that we sold in 2001. And I've had the same cell phone number since 1994.
This is hilarious.
Is that one of those big bricks?
The number, not the phone.
Come on, man. He's got new tech, man.
Hey, that was tech back then.
It was, absolutely. Yeah. So in 2003, after 9/11 and the dot bomb and the Y2K, I had a client call me and say, hey, we'd like to take a look at doing a particular project. And I've called the main number at the former business and nobody answers there. So I took that appointment, and that meeting basically became the foundation for ManageWatch today in 2003.
So key takeaway, never change your cell phone number.
Correct.
And a testament of who he was, right? That they still,
oh yeah,
right? I mean, because that's the joke, and that's funny, right? But I mean, it just shows if you don't burn bridges, you take care of people. You never know.
Right. Well, and so often the relationship is not so often, but always the relationship is with an individual, not just a name of a company.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, so how did you do that? I mean, your industry sounds like it's a pretty capital intensive industry. It takes a lot of money to buy all these pieces of equipment. So
it does.
You get this idea and you want to start it. I mean,
well, I wouldn't say that I had an idea. Working with my business partners, we came to the conclusion over many years that we really can't deliver the full IT value to small to medium-sized businesses, our clients, because they're all custom networks. Every single customer's got a different person, a different type, a different technology, a different goal, and being able to provide a full IT value across all these disparate networks is at margin is generally impossible. And ultimately, the customers, there's no scale. The customers aren't getting their promise of IT either. So you have a mismatch, not an alignment. So we came to the conclusion in 2012 that the only way to really control that is to basically own all the architectural decisions for our customers. And that conclusion led us to private cloud, in that we own the architecture that's purpose-built that our customers can then run in. So that's really where we came from.
So to be clear, I mean, I think there's insight for everybody in this conversation that might be listening, is that you recognize a problem and a pain point, and that you weren't able to deliver the way you wanted to at a margin that you wanted to deliver at that kind of margin, and what it became an opportunity for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Our first issue is we're not delivering the services to our customers that they really deserve, and the customers themselves didn't realize they weren't getting that service because they don't necessarily understand the possibility of technology. We knew that they're not really getting everything they need, and they didn't understand what they should be buying from us. So we'd present value, and they'd say, well, I really don't understand it. Let's talk about it next quarter. And so what happens is they continue to have a diminished IT value. And we said, we just don't want to continue to operate like that. We want to provide the very best for our customers, whether they deserve it or whether they recognize they deserve it or not. And that became owning the architecture would provide a much better experience for them from a computing perspective.
I love that. I mean, that's really, really powerful. And so that's a shift. I mean, it had to have required capital. I mean, everything else. So how did you make that shift? And I mean, what did you do, and what did you have to go through to make that happen?
That's a good question. We realized that we needed to have capital commitment to the business to take it to the next level. That was pretty intimidating to me at the time. I thought, well, who's going to loan me money or be involved? As we continued to talk to other individuals that wanted to see if they would explore opportunities to invest in the business, we actually had several opportunities at the end we could choose from because we have good customers. We've got a good reputation. We could really kind of select who we wanted to basically bring in as a capital partner. But at the time, I was pretty intimidated about the possibility of being able to capitalize this new venture, which we call the Cloud Area Network, as a private cloud provider.
So how did you solve that?
We went out and talked to people and said, this is what we're going to do, and here's our model, and here's where it comes from. But
I mean, so in the capital raise, you get that from banks, private equity?
No, private,
yeah. Equity, okay.
Yeah, we brought in a private partner, and that's been really great. Someone who's got a lot of experience in the industry as well. So we were looking for a working partner, not just what they call dumb money. And so that was easier in the long run than I ever expected it to be when we first started.
And I would think that whenever you're raising that kind of money, and as you say, it's not a dumb money, somebody that's going to be with you for a while, I would assume that you're having an issue where you get a bunch of clients and now all of a sudden you need to expand. So it's a whole another investment as technology changes, as you get more clients that require more infrastructure. Yes, no?
Yes. Yeah. Is that a question?
It was a statement intended as a question.
Bob's now moved into your business. He's answering, hey, you want to flip mics real quick? So that was, a pretty big deal then. Had you been through that before where you'd ever had to do a capital raise? Psychologically, was that a shift for you?
Well, I've been making shifts within technology delivery since 1991 when I first got into IT. Just a little background, but Banyan Vines, Novell, OS2 Warp, Landman, a lot of things back then we used to run. And as a technology delivery company, you have to say, what's going to happen next year? What technology should we be investing in? So I'm used to shifting from a technology delivery perspective and understanding what's next. I've never been involved in a capital raise before. That was very new to me and pretty intimidating. But because we've done a good job, we have a good company, and we've got good staff, it was much easier than I ever anticipated it would be.
So fast forward to today, what do you have to do to stay focused and to grow your business on a regular basis?
Well, the thing we're really putting a lot of time in is demystifying the private cloud value proposition. We're working on a piece called the SMB conundrum, which is how do SMBs basically deliver full IT value to themselves? And the answer is private cloud. To cut to the last page in the book, the answer is private cloud. I'm sorry, I forgot the question even.
It was really just a statement anyway, Sean.
No, it was about what do you have to stay focused on?
We have to stay focused on continuing messaging and demystifying the value of private cloud. It's really about an education marketing piece.
So in all of your years, what would you say that have been your 3 biggest insights that you didn't know before starting the company?
I'll have to look at those again.
I know one. If we go back to our first, at the beginning of the show, my quote was, you don't have to see to the end to walk toward it. I love that one. Sean, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think it's about momentum. I think if you create momentum, people will typically follow into your wake and lift you up. So you don't have to see all the way to the end to start walking there. If you start heading in there, you'll find people will say, hey, where are you going? And they'll help lighten the load and go with you. So that was something when we first started the company, we had no idea where we were going to go. We were just going to provide good service. We just continued to march forward, and that's brought us at least 12 good years thus far, and we look forward to having fantastic years going forward with the private cloud. The other piece that I didn't recognize is that small to medium-sized businesses cannot deliver the full IT value to themselves. They just simply don't have the economics and the wherewithal to be able to do that.
Or the knowledge.
Absolutely. That's why I say the wherewithal. They just don't have the knowledge or expertise or understanding.
Or the desire.
Well, I think that's really,
point.
in the long run, they're very dissatisfied. Yeah, they're not happy with how things are going for them. It's expensive.
If we were all sitting here together 3 years from now, what has to happen in your life personally, professionally, to feel satisfied with the progress you've made?
Well, I'd like my family to continue to be proud and stand by me and what I've been able to do. I have a fantastic family, and I'm very blessed there. The other would be we're looking for $1 million a month in private cloud MRR.
It's a great goal.
Very good. Well, thank you for being our guest today, Sean. We really appreciate it. Listeners, please go to ManageWatch.com and learn more about what they're doing and how they can benefit your organization. To learn more about the show, please go to nextlevelshow.com. And you'll find all of our past conversations with business owners, both on video and audio. And you can also go on to Facebook. Please like us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. And we look forward to having you next week.
And spread the word. If you heard maybe something today that maybe one of your friends that owns a business, is challenged with or has been complaining about recently on the golf course, and you're tired of hearing about it, forward this on. Have a great week.
Thank you.
You have been listening to The Next Level, Conversations That Propel Business with Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons. Join us every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. for more prolific conversations that will take your business to the next level.